If you have high standards in your homeschool, then you may have noticed you get more pushback. Maybe you have started requiring corrections for all work that's been done. Maybe you insist on consistency. Maybe you tighten up screen time, or maybe you just expect real effort from your children. And suddenly it starts happening. People start making comments. They get defensive. Conversations get really awkward. Some friendships may even cool off. Nothing about your personality has changed. You just stopped running things casually. There are some very predictable reasons why these things happen, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Number one, standards remove excuses. So when you demonstrate that something is in fact doable, that removes the safety net of that's impossible. And this does not just apply to homeschool. You may have noticed this if you have high standards in your parenting as well. A lot of parents who don't have any standards in their parenting basically like to believe the lie that some parents are just lucky and got good kids, because that removes the responsibility from them. So if you are demonstrating that no, it is actually it is possible to have lovely children that you enjoy being around and everyone else enjoys being around, it removes that safety net. So if you are checking math every day, if you have a consistent homeschool start time, if your children actually get dressed every day, and if you're finishing the curriculum that you start in the fall every single year, well, now it is harder for people to perpetuate the myth that homeschools really should be relaxed and lazy and disorganized, and learning happens throughout life, so there's no reason to actually try. That creates discomfort. And it is not because you are judging them. It's really because your behavior and your standards contradict what they have been telling themselves is okay. So you will probably hear excuses like, oh, well, I could never do that. Or I don't have the personality type to be able to handle that. Or that's just not realistic. Or that wouldn't work in my house. Often when you hear excuses like this, it's not a true analysis of that person's situation. It's more like self-protection, because they're doing things a certain way and they like it that way. And so if they see someone else getting better results, working harder, then they have to self-reflect, and maybe they're just not ready to do that yet. Number two, standards expose insecurity. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Most mothers really do care deeply about what they're doing. So when they see someone else operating with higher standards, with more structure and discipline, and getting better results, it can feel to them like a comparison, even when no comparison is being made. This has happened a lot throughout my years as a mother, mostly because of my family size. You know, we have 11 children, and I don't go around broadcasting the number, because it's intimidating to people. Secondly, I know that if I say I have 11 children and they have any number that is less than 11, they are going to feel like they have to justify their number to me, which they don't. They absolutely don't. But it is just kind of human nature. If someone is doing something that that person views as more or better, they're going to automatically start comparing themselves. So this is when you might start hearing things like this. Kids just need to be kids. Or that's too strict. Or, well, I don't want to push them too far. Or I don't want to kill their love for learning. Or we're more relaxed in our house. So what is interesting is that none of these responses are really about your system. They're really about that person protecting their own sense of adequacy. Number three, high standards break social norms. So we all know that there is an unspoken culture in a lot of homeschool spaces. I'm not saying every homeschool space. There are some truly beautiful homeschool communities out there, so I'm not talking about those. Some of this unspoken culture sounds like this. Don't expect too much. Don't be too structured. Do not emphasize discipline. Don't make anyone uncomfortable. And when you raise your standards in your homeschool, you are stepping outside of that norm. Most likely, you're not announcing it. You're just starting to do things differently, but people notice. And the thing is, when group norms get disrupted, people are going to push back. And sometimes it's subtle, but sometimes it is very direct. Number 4, discipline is confronting. So here's the thing that you have to remember. Consistency stands out. And this is not just in homeschool. This is in life, okay? The woman who is consistently making sure that her diet is in line and that she is getting good exercise, her consistency stands out against a sea of people who are not. The same thing happens with homeschool. The same thing happens with parenting. When you are putting in consistent effort, your results are going to stand out no matter what you are doing. So starting school on time, requiring those corrections every single day, limiting screens, expecting and requiring neat handwriting, making sure that your children finish their schoolwork before they have free time. All of these things, all of these requirements, all of this consistency, it is going to yield excellent results, and that stands out. But the thing is, none of those things require commentary. It just communicates a standard. And standards naturally create comparison, even if you never bring it up. Number 5, excellence removes emotional cover. So a lot of popular homeschool messaging emphasizes things like, oh, there's no right way to do this. It's just a matter of preference. Or do what works best for your family. Or, my favorite, we're all doing our best. Here's the thing, there is some truth in these statements, but they can also be used as a shield from improvement, and we should all be wanting to improve. When someone is running a structured and disciplined homeschool, it really challenges the idea that outcomes don't matter, and that makes people seriously uncomfortable. Number 6, confidence can be misread. So here are some things that are often true of high standard mothers. They are able to make decisions really quickly. They often speak plainly and sometimes are called blunt. They do not over-explain. They don't apologize for expectations. They just own them. More often than not, this is interpreted as intensity, but often it is really just clarity. You have decided what matters, and you have also decided that you are willing to do what it takes to get there. That's not really aggression. It's not aggression towards anyone else. It's aggression towards achieving goals. And in a society where confidence and clear choices and achieving goals is not highly valued anymore, it comes across as aggression. Number 7, this is what's normal when you raise standards. So again, whenever someone moves away from normal or average, it is going to create friction. Like I already said, it happens in fitness, it happens in business, it happens in education, and it definitely happens in parenting. If you raise expectations for yourself and for your children, it is going to cause a visible difference. And that difference is what you're going to get reactions to. So let's talk about what not to do. So this is where a newly high standards mother or a seasoned high standards mother can sometimes make mistakes, which causes even more friction within relationships. So this is what you should really try to avoid. First, you are not going to lower your standards to make other people comfortable. That's not what we're talking about here at all. If you know that consistency helps your children, and at this point you really should know that consistency does help your children, I do not care who you are, then you're not going to abandon that because someone else who is being inconsistent thinks that it's too much. Secondly, do not over-explain yourself. I have a personal rule when I'm communicating with people that I know in real life, and that rule is say the minimum. Okay, so most of the time people will ask questions, but they don't really want to know the answer. And so I make sure that if I'm talking to someone and they are asking me questions, I don't give much of an answer. unless they ask clarifying questions. If someone starts asking me clarifying questions beyond, a normal average response that I give, then I will definitely go in deeper with them. But I don't ever start deep with anybody, because most of the time people are just trying to make conversation. They're just trying to be friendly. They don't want to know really, your whole history and your whole philosophy on education and your whole philosophy on child rearing or any of those things. They're just being polite. So don't over-explain yourself ever. Third, don't seek validation. Okay, so if you're waiting for everyone around you to agree with your newfound philosophies on consistency, you are going to be waiting forever. Fourth, don't evangelize. This is super important. You do not need to convince people to adopt the same system that you are using. You don't need company to get the job done. And you definitely do not need to correct other mothers. If other mothers are coming to you and asking you for help, then absolutely you should help them, and you should come alongside them. But don't go around saying, well, the reason why you're having so many problems is because of this. It's not going to win you any friends. But there is a balance here. You don't want to evangelize. You don't want to offer unsolicited advice, but you also don't want to not tell anybody the useful information that if they're actually trying to do better and raise their own standards. So that's why I say, if someone's asking you clarifying questions, then freely share. But otherwise, it's a hard balance to strike sometimes, especially when you're really excited. If you've just started, raising your standards and you're seeing really wonderful results, it's hard not to shout it from the mountaintops. But for the sake of your relationships, let them come to you. Fifth, don't become defensive. So this is important. You don't need to debate your standards. You don't need to win arguments, and you do not need to prove anything. Defensiveness is usually a sign of uncertainty, even if you're feeling really confident. So don't be baited into these types of conversations. Let your results speak for themselves, and they will. So let's talk about what to do instead. Continue to operate consistently. Consistency. That should be your word for 2026. Just continue to be consistent in everything, and you will change so much. You will see so many results. It will be amazing. So continue to be consistent. Let your actions, let your results speak for themselves. Your actions should speak louder than words, always. I mean, that is just a wonderful way to live. Not going around broadcasting what you're doing, shouting from the rooftops. Let your results speak for themselves. Always be friendly, but never be apologetic when it comes to your standards. Now, of course, if you've offended someone, be apologetic for that. Be apologetic for the right things, but don't be apologetic for your standards. If someone comes to you and they ask you how you structure your day, help them out. Lay it out for them. We start our school day at 8. We have all of our core subjects done by lunchtime. In the afternoon, this is what we do, and it's been working really wonderfully. The children have been responding beautifully. Their quality of work has gone through the roof. You don't need to give a long explanation. You do not need to use a persuasive tone. Just give the information. And if they ask more questions beyond that, wonderful. Help them sort through the details. But choose your audience very, very carefully. Not everyone wants to run a high standards homeschool. And to be honest, that's fine. You need to focus on your own homeschool. Invest more of your energy in the few mothers who really, really are trying to improve. But you make sure that your biggest focus is on your own homeschool and your own children, so that those results can continue to speak for themselves. Over the years, you will find more and more people coming to you, asking you for advice, and then you can start pouring more information into them as you have more experience under your belt. But stay focused on those long-term outcomes. The long-term outcomes are your children. That is where you need to be pouring most of your focus into. Always remember, your goal is not peer approval. Your goal is capable, disciplined, educated children. And that requires consistency, even when it feels socially awkward. Over time, over consistency, your children will become more proficient. They'll also become more independent. Your homeschool will become more orderly. And people will notice that. Some people will always still disagree with what you're doing. Some people will be curious, and some people will just go ahead and adjust their own expectations to match yours because they were good. But it is not your job to manage any of that. Remember, building a strong homeschool requires clarity, consistency, and high expectations. And those things will never be universally comfortable, but they are extremely effective and provide fantastic results. So if you are still in the period where you are trying to raise expectations, you probably already know that one of the hardest parts is maintaining those expectations day to day. It's one thing to decide we're going to be consistent now. It's another thing to actually do it when you are juggling multiple children, subjects, and responsibilities. This is exactly why I created the homeschool checklist protocol. It's based off of the checklist protocol that I put in place in my own home because I was juggling so many of these things. It gives your children a clear, visible list of all the things that need to be accomplished in the day. And it gives you a system for verification, follow through, and accountability. Instead of constantly reminding, chasing down work, and correcting, the expectations are built into the structure. So if your goal is higher standards, this is one of the best ways to make them stick. Also, if you're trying to build a high standards homeschool, but you feel like you're doing it all alone, that's where the headmistress circle comes in. It's a small group of mothers who are intentionally building structured, disciplined, consistent homeschools that are also academically strong. Inside, we talk about raising expectations, maintaining consistency, solving real problems, and staying steady when there's pushback. Because the truth of the matter is, it is so much easier to maintain high standards when you are surrounded by other women who are also doing the same thing. You can find both of those linked below in the description. So if you're raising standards in your homeschool, even when it's uncomfortable, then you are definitely moving in the right direction.